Their hands link together, and James forgets to be so nervous because he's too busy looking at how well their hands fit. James's inner delight at having Regulus's hand in his is quickly dashed away when he realizes why. They've arrived. Pandora piles out first, and Sirius is right behind her, hopping out in heels like it's effortless. For a second, neither James or Regulus move, and then they share a quick look before making their way out of the carriage. Regulus goes first to help him down, for which James is grateful. James is pretty much immediately overwhelmed the moment they make it into the castle. They're led into a huge ballroom full of people. It's all glitz and glam, flashy colors and eccentric styles, tinkling laughter and prying eyes. There's a very long table displaying so much food that James is sure is wasted on these people, as well as servants bustling around with trays of food and drinks. While there isn't a bar, there is a table full of different glasses of wine and champagne. The first hour of the party goes by in a rush. James honestly doesn't have time to be worried about much of anything, because Sirius insists on them getting certain things out of the way first, just to be sure that it's done. Meeting the sponsors is first, and James doesn't even have to pretend that much to be grateful when talking to each and every one. Yes, they may have demanded a show, but they did nonetheless provide the money that saved his life, and helped Regulus as well. Regulus clearly struggles with it, but James suspects he's going to struggle with everything tonight. This is basically a nightmare scenario for him. He hates socializing, James knows that, so he tries to do most of the heavy lifting for him, and Sirius picks up a lot of the slack as well. They're very good at being charming, especially together, and they leave each person smiling and satisfied. Pandora does the heavy lifting with the government officials, which they get out of the way next. As a Hallow, she at least knows their names, and they all basically follow her lead. It's a different feeling because these people have power. James feels very, very dirty after shaking all their hands and essentially acting like what they do isn't wrong, like what they do didn't trickle down and affect the districts, like what they do hasn't created poverty and death and suffering. They may not make all the rules, but they're happy to enforce them, very willing to keep others down so they can rise higher. He's grateful when Sirius ushers them away and promises them that they don't have to seek any of these people out anymore. Just like that, they can avoid them the rest of the night. All that's left is mingling with mentors and dealing with any other guests that demand their attention. Sirius and Pandora are there with them for the first half hour of the mentors, the ones that Sirius doesn't like or isn't close with. Lucius and Yaxley, for example. It's about as tense as expected, honestly. Lucius is the worst. Be careful not to stab anyone tonight, Regulus, Lucius says, lifting his wine and a toast with a faint smirk. This is a formal event, and I don't think your little romance will be enough to keep you out of trouble forever. Fuck off, Malfoy, Sirius retorts sharply, before anyone can say a word. You never know when to watch your mouth, do you? Lucius replies, his lips curling up in distaste. Yaxley snorts. No, but he clearly knows how to use it. He nods at Sirius, specifically the mark on his neck that James knows for a fact Remus left there. If their romance can't keep them out of trouble, Sirius using his body sure will. Regulus and James step forward at the same time, their hands breaking apart because they're prepared to use them. But Pandora swings her arms out to halt Regulus, and Sirius catches James by his chest quickly, keeping him still. There's a tense moment where a group of murderers all stare around at each other, not opposed to adding a few more names to their lists. Oh, and Pandora is there too, startlingly calm despite this. Yes, Yaxley, make it more obvious how bitter you are that the Hallows don't find you desirable in the least. Sirius flashes him a sharp smile. You know they don't settle for less than the best, and it's not my fault, that's clearly you. Some of us have standards, Black, Yaxley snaps, bristling. Is that what you tell yourself each time they turn you away? Sirius coos, laughing when Yaxley glares and starts to move forward as well, only to be stopped too. Sirius hums. Well, we're done here. This year's victors have more important matters to attend to, you understand. We'd understand better than you, Lucius declares. After all, you've never turned a tribute into a victor before, have you? Shame you didn't care about any of them as you do your best friend and brother, or you might have gotten them home. Sirius goes stiff next to James, his expression hardening, and James feels such a strong wave of anger rock him that he doesn't even care when he finds himself saying, "Hey, Reg, remember that time you cut off Malziber's hand?" "Yes," Regulus responds immediately, his voice cold. "Felt good, didn't it?" James asks lightly, watching Lucius's lips press into a thin line. "Felt fucking fantastic," Regulus announces without missing a beat. "I only regret that I didn't finish what I started." James grins at Lucius, who is clearly pissed off. "That's all right, love. I took care of that." That's true," Regulus muses. "But you handled Avery anyway," James says. "It's a shame their mentor didn't prepare them for us, huh?" Regulus hums. "A real shame." "Next year," Lucius hisses, looking at Sirius, "I'll ensure your tributes don't make it past the first day." "Oh, I'd be careful with that, Lucius," Sirius snaps, glaring at him. "Didn't work out so well last time, did it?" Lucius steps forward, eyes flashing. "You little—" "Like Sirius said," Pandora cuts in, "we're done here." With that, Pandora leaves Lucius and Yaxley such a cold, withering look that they actually stop and shut up, though that must be just because she's a Hallow. James isn't sure. Either way, Pandora says that they're done, so they're done. No one protests when she sweeps them away. They get through a few more mentors that Sirius only knows vaguely, and most of them are polite but distant. A few are drunk already, which is sort of sad, honestly. Sirius is lost to them the moment they come across Marlene, Frank, and Emmeline. He instantly asks Marlene to dance, only to receive a laugh and a simple "in your fucking dreams, Black," that makes him clutch his chest as if he's been shot. Emmeline takes pity on him after that, or, well, she just steps forward and says she'd like to dance, so Sirius perks up and sweeps her off to the dance floor. Marlene wanders away to get another drink, apparently, and then there were four. Frank swings his head between James, Pandora, and Regulus. Finally, Frank clears his throat and says, "So, James—" "No," Regulus interrupts, before he can even finish, his eyes narrowed into slits. He drops James's hand to clamp down on his arm instead, pulling him away without warning, leaving Pandora and Frank alone together. "And where are we going?" James mumbles, helplessly amused, maybe a little entertained. "We're dancing." "Oh, are we? You know, typically people ask—" "Shut up and dance with me," Regulus cuts in with a huff, clearly grumpy, unable to wipe the scowl off his face. All right, James says with a quiet chuckle, tugging Regulus in by his hand while slipping his arm around his waist to pull him closer. Regulus is painfully tense in James's arms, stiff, like he's struggling, like he's fighting some inner battle. What James would not give to join him on the front lines and help him win, or die trying. He just doesn't know what to fight, so he can only watch from the sidelines and hope he can provide enough support that will help see Regulus through. In short, he keeps Regulus close, because he has to be close right now, in this setting, and he doesn't draw attention to the fact that Regulus is fighting at all. They're surrounded by people dancing all around them, people that do double takes when they realize it's them, and they're no doubt being watched by people on the sidelines, but thankfully no one is close enough to hear what they're actually saying. James still keeps his voice low when speaking anyway, just to be safe. "What are you even jealous of?" "He likes you," Regulus grumbles. James clicks his tongue. "Probably just as a friend, for one. For two, even if he did, it wouldn't really matter, you know that." "Right, but he's—" Regulus abruptly cuts himself off, though it doesn't really seem to be on purpose. He just finally turned his head to look at James, and now he seems quite struck. All earlier annoyance is gone, like it evaporated on the spot. They sway slowly, and Regulus stares at James with his lips parted. "What?" James asks. Regulus swallows. "You look nice." "You look like home," James whispers, because it's the first thing that falls out of his mouth, just the simple truth. It's only 4 words, but they must be made of magic, because Regulus practically melts. James feels it. Regulus genuinely just softens all over and sinks into James, sliding his arms over James's shoulders to hook them together behind his neck, pressing them closer together. All the fight goes out of him, just like that. James adjusts, wrapping his arms around Regulus's waist. They keep on swaying, so close that they can't even see anyone else. I'm sorry, Regulus rasps. For what? For kissing me yesterday? James asks, watching him closely, because, yes, he wants to talk about it. It was necessary, Regulus starts, tension slowly sweeping back into his frame. James scoffs. Don't lie to me. You think I don't know you well enough to know when it's just pretend, or when it's real? Give me a little more credit. I know that was real. Did it upset you? Regulus asks carefully. James hesitates, and Regulus gets that panicky look in his eyes again. The same look he had the night he asked to sleep with him. It tugs at James's heartstrings every time, and every fucking time James fails to turn him away. How can he? He loves Regulus. He doesn't want to reject him, not ever, even if it hurts to keep letting him close without having him at all. It's complicated, James settles on. Regulus takes a deep breath, and when it comes back out, it's a hoarse laugh. Yes, things always are with us, aren't they? Not this, James muses, pointedly pulling Regulus in even more to indicate what he means. Do you think it's this easy in that other life of ours? I imagine this is how we dance in that life, just as close, by the firelight. I've been imagining it since I was 10, Regulus croaks. In my head, we're always alone. We can be alone, James tells him. We can leave right now and go somewhere no one can find us. I'm sure we have options in a castle as big as this one. We can't, Regulus says. We're supposed to... I don't give a fuck what we're supposed to do, James cuts in brazenly. You know what they'll assume we're doing. Running away, Regulus mutters. James sighs in exasperation and fond amusement. No, Reg. Fucking. They'll assume we've snuck off to find a corner to fuck in. Oh, Regulus chokes out, a flush spreading in his cheeks, his eyes bright as he inhales sharply and holds his breath, biting down so hard on his bottom lip that James can see the white imprint his teeth leave behind. It's so tempting. Don't look at me like that, James whispers, every inch of him focused with full interest now, his stomach swooping as heat skitters beneath his skin and floods his veins. I can't help it, Regulus whispers back, shakily exhaling. Well, I need you to stop, James croaks, because I can't do this. I can't, Regulus, especially not now, not this week when we're pretending like this. I can't do it, and no, it doesn't change anything, not this time. Regulus looks stricken. Do you regret last time? Last time. Oh, last time. That last day in the Hallow, when it was just them, when it was their choice and their wants, even before they were ready. That was the last time they touched each other while not in front of a camera or a crowd until this tour. That deep and all-consuming kiss, and the many that followed. Looking back, James wonders if it was a parting gift, the finality and a goodbye to something they'd never get to have. Yes, James rasps, because he does. He said he wouldn't, and he does. It makes him ache. It makes him yearn. It makes him want it again, want it to hurt, want more. I knew you would, Regulus says, his eyes sinking shut. I can't help it, James murmurs, an echo to Regulus's earlier words. Regulus's eyes drift open. I can't help how I love you. Regulus makes a small sound, quiet in the back of his throat, and then he's melting forward further to try to bring their mouths together. James dodges it carefully, turning his head to press their cheeks together instead, ducking his face down as he squeezes his eyes shut. It's the first time he's ever rejected Regulus, ever turned away from anything he's offered, and it feels like it's breaking his heart too. I'm sorry, Regulus chokes out. I'm sorry, James. I'm so sorry. I know, I'm sorry. Regulus, hey, it's okay, just breathe, James says, peeling back to watch him warily. Look, I don't blame you for what you can't do, all right? Honestly, I don't think I can do it either, especially not during this, not here. I've been so cruel to you, asking for too much and giving basically nothing, Regulus tells him, almost frantic, his words spilling out of him. I've ignored you because Because I'm so fucking scared all the time, and having to pretend just makes it harder. But I also can't leave you alone. I can't stop wanting. I still want, and I'm losing you over and over again. I keep losing you and I hate it. That's why I hate you, because I can't have you. Because even when I could have you, I'm not ready, or I'm too scared, or people want to claim it for themselves. Or all three. I hate everything. Regulus, James cuts in quietly. I hate you and everything except you, Regulus whispers, his whole body strung tight like he's about to crack in half. I'm losing you. I know I am. You're getting tired of me. I can feel it. And I can't even blame you because I'm tired of me too. I I hate me most of all. Regulus, I need you to stop, and I need you to breathe, James tells him, rubbing his hands up and down Regulus's back, his heart clenching violently in his chest over and over. He swallows past the lump in his throat and leans in to press their foreheads together, breathing in and out, waiting for Regulus to copy him. Listen to me, all right? I'm not getting tired of you. I could never get tired of you. I am tired, yes, but it's not because of you. It's because of the shitty circumstances, and me setting boundaries and stepping back a little does not mean you're losing me. Regulus breathes in and out slowly, matching James's pace. Together they inhale and exhale, repeating the cycle until it seems to feel more natural to him. His fingers flex on James's shoulders, and he keeps pressing closer, like he wants to open him up and crawl inside, maybe hide within him. He said James makes him feel safe, and James doesn't think anything has ever made him feel as simultaneously strong and weak as knowing that does. Slowly, in increments, Regulus settles again. I know that our feelings towards ourselves are often more harsh than we deserve, James continues softly. And I know that it's not as simple as deciding to love ourselves, but I do think putting in the effort to try is worth it. I don't even like myself, Regulus confesses quietly. That's a tragedy, James murmurs, because you're one of my favorite people. I wish you knew yourself as I know you. What if you're wrong? Regulus rasps. James leans back and meets his eyes. What if you are? Regulus looks at him, holding his gaze, and there's so much turmoil there in his eyes that James is sure he could get sucked into the whirlpool of complexities and never find his way out. He's really struggling with all of this, and frankly, James isn't doing much better, but in their own ways, they're trying. Regulus swallows thickly and mumbles, with no warning or lead-up. Are you still going to bring me flowers? Yes, Regulus, I'm still going to bring you flowers, James promises gently, his lips curling up. Okay, well, if you ever knock, I'll invite you in for tea, Regulus says softly. If that's okay. Obviously you don't have to come in, but you could if you want. I'd like you to. I hope you will. That'd be nice, James admits. Some days I don't talk, Regulus informs him. I just can't. It's not as often anymore, but there might be some days where I won't be good company at all. You don't have to talk. James reaches up to grab Regulus's hand, loosely tangling their fingers together. We could sit in complete silence, and I'll just be happy to be with you, so long as you want me around. I always want you around, Regulus murmurs. Well, you can have that any time, James assures him. You don't have to give me anything to earn me, Regulus. If you want to see me, then see me. If you want to sit with me, then show me to the proper chair. Regulus hesitates, then tugs on their joined hands, pulling them up to his mouth, though he doesn't touch. He peers at James through his eyelashes. Can I? James swears his stomach goes tumbling down a hill, his heart shivering in excitement in his chest. Yes. Regulus closes his eyes and presses gentle kisses over James's fingers. The hills of his knuckles, the curl between his thumb and pointer finger. He does it with reverence, like James's hands are divine, meant to be worshipped, like they've never once been covered in blood. James has to hold his breath, every part of his body singing in pure delight. It just keeps going, on and on, Regulus only getting more eager with each kiss, desperate almost. He nudges James's hand open to trail warm kisses down his palm, to the hill below his thumb, and then over the bend of his wrist. He presses his mouth to the pulse there, right beneath the skin, lingering for a long time. James struggles to breathe. James is scared he's going to cry. Actually, no, seriously, his eyes are stinging something fierce, and he hasn't ever felt anything like this. He desperately needs it to stop, and simultaneously hopes that it never ends. Reg, James croaks, blinking hard. These hands, your hands should be worshipped, Regulus says, like it's just an offhand comment, and he actually looks slightly displeased that there aren't shrines built in his hand's honor. I adore your hands. James swallows. They destroy things now, when they never did before. They're rough sometimes, bloody. Warm, Regulus counters, pressing another kiss to James's shaking fingers. Steady, strong. These hands hold the people you love. These hands care for them. They're gentle, tender. He turns James's hand slightly and kisses the space in between his thumb and index finger, that line where the grip of a hatchet would rest. I can't stand to be touched most of the time, but it's your touch I miss most of all. Regulus, James whispers urgently, fingers twitching against Regulus's mouth, and his voice cracks because he's ridiculously choked up right now. Your hands are so beautiful. You're so beautiful, James, Regulus tells him, lifting his gaze so their eyes will meet and lock. He looks like he means it, like he wholeheartedly believes it. There's something peaceful in his eyes as he tips his cheek into James's open palm, resting it there, and he closes his eyes in such a way that feels so vulnerable, so trusting, that James can't breathe for a moment. Regulus stays there and breathes out. Being touched by you is being blessed by divinity. I know I'm not worthy, but I crave it ceaselessly all the same. I thought I was the devil, James chokes out. You're that too. You're everything to me, baby. Regulus turns his head and presses another kiss to James's palm, eyes still closed. Again and again, he rains down more kisses to his fingers, looking like he's sipping salvation right out of the palm of James's hand. Okay, James chants breathlessly, rocking forward to press their foreheads together again, wrapping his free arm around his waist. He tangles their hands once more and breathes shakily as he starts tugging them in slow circles again, unsure when they stopped. You can't do things like that to me. What did we just talk about? Sorry, Regulus mumbles. Fuck, please don't apologize, James wheezes. You're amazing. You're just so fucking lovely, Regulus. You don't even know, and it kills me. You have no idea what you do to me. Regulus is quiet for a moment, and then, I think most of the time, despite my best efforts, all I do is hurt you. That's not all you do, James whispers, and even when you do, it feels so fucking good. I can't get enough of you. Remember your boundaries, James. You've just blown them all up. I could not give less of a shit about them at the moment. Come here, I miss you. No, Regulus cuts in, tilting his head down so James can't kiss him like he was desperately trying to. You said no. You said that's better for you, and I will respect that, James. I'm not doing something you'll regret. Not again. James groans. Fuck, I am so stupid. Can you just forget I said that, please? I've forgotten it already. See how easy it is? No, James, Regulus says, with a quiet huff of gentle laughter. But he soothes James by wrapping his free arm around James's neck and bringing their joined hands between their chests. He ducks his head to press a gentle kiss to them, then leans in and rests his head on James's shoulders with a soft sigh. I'll get it right. If I cannot climb, I will grow. What's that? James asks. Regulus just hums. Nothing to worry about. Just dance with me. Let's just dance, James. Just me and you. This is ours, even though we're not alone. It's ours, James agrees. It's just me and you, love. And it is. They're close together, swaying in slow circles and from side to side, holding on to each other, utterly alone in James's mind. because to him, the whole room, the whole world has disappeared, along with everyone in it. There's no one else, nothing else. Just this, and just them. Sirius has danced with no less than 8 people, because Emmeline abandoned him at some point to go hunt Marlene down for a dance, which Sirius notes did not work out for her, clearly, because she's now dancing with Pandora, who likely offered when she either couldn't find Marlene or when Marlene refused. Marlene doesn't like to dance. So, Sirius has resorted to dancing with various Hallows, either sponsors he counts on each year, or sponsors he's hoping to count on next year, because the job never really ends for a mentor. Even now, he's putting in the work. Meanwhile, James and Regulus are secure where they're at, so intimately wrapped up together that no one even bothers them. Well, a lot of people watch them, and there are giggles and whispers carrying around the room, but Regulus and James look so damn peaceful together that, thankfully, no one seems to have the heart to attempt to cut in. People do seem entertained by the way they're hardly even dancing at all, their arms wrapped around each other as they lazily sway, like an excuse just to hold on to each other. Sirius won't lie, he's ever so slightly envious, because he doesn't get to slip his arms around the one he loves and feel everything else fade away. Instead, he dances with people he doesn't actually care about, taking a spare few seconds between each partner to repeatedly locate the one man he'd leave them all behind to be with. It's easy for Sirius to find Remus. He did the moment he walked in the room, and he's found him countless times since. There he is, the most beautiful bastard in this room, in nothing but grey, unflattering clothes, and a black mask that covers basically half his face, and yet he puts everyone else to fucking shame. The fact that no one else notices it just further proves how stupid and lifeless they are, too blinded by flashing lights and fake smiles to see true glory right in front of them. Remus isn't always looking at him. He does have other tasks to focus on, sadly, but this time he is. Every time he is watching Sirius, he's doing so with a hooded gaze, something so intense in his eyes that it has the ability to send a shudder up Sirius's spine from all the way across the room. There's something more this time, a significant sort of look that makes Sirius's stomach swoop with anticipation. "Excuse me, Boris," Sirius says politely, adopting an apologetic smile and stepping back. "I am a tad tired, just need a small break for now, but don't you worry, I will be back to steal another lovely dance with you." Boris just chuckles, not seeming offended in the least by his abrupt departure, and he slips away from the dance floor quickly. Most people seem distracted by James and Regulus as it is, so Sirius gets away with relative ease. No one stops him on the way out, and he slips down the hall, further and further away from the party that grows more muffled in the distance. On this floor, there's at least 3 other wings, just full of different rooms for who knows why, honestly. Sirius doesn't care. He gets far enough away that he can't hear the distant sounds of the party, picks a door, and leans against it to wait. He doesn't have to wait too long, thankfully. Eventually, there is the sound of quiet steps, and his head swings around to see Remus moving up the hall, barely even glancing at him when he stops by the first room, knocks, waits a moment, then slips inside. Sirius goes into his own room, mildly bemused to see that it's a service closet full of cleaning products. Well, too late now. He couldn't have picked a room with a bed. Sirius holds himself still until Remus reaches him, but the moment Remus comes in and peels his mask off, Sirius surges forward to kiss him, only to be a little disoriented by the height change. He's still not taller than Remus, even in the boots, but he's nearly his height, so the kiss lands a little off-center. "Oops," Sirius breathes out, rocking back and blinking. "A bit taller than usual," Remus notes with a small smile, his hand sliding down Sirius's sides. "Also, the utility closet? I didn't know what it would be until I got in here," Sirius complains, slipping his arms around Remus's shoulders and leaning into him. He doesn't even have to stretch up to press their foreheads together. "How long do we have?" "Only a few minutes, at most. I'm sorry. I know it's not enough time, but it's something." Remus hums and tilts his face forward to brush their mouths together, soft and sweet. "It sure is. You look beautiful, by the way. I like the heels." He slips one hand up to run his fingers gently down the center of Sirius's chest, where his shirt swoops open. I like this more when I'm the only one looking at it. Me too, Sirius admits. The amount of people drooling over you tonight, Remus shakes his head, both hands settling on his hips, flexing. Yeah, them, whatever, Sirius says carefully. What about you, though? I can barely do my fucking job because you're so distracting, Remus informs him, kissing a slow path along his jaw. Sirius's breath hitches, his eyes fluttering shut as Remus nips down at the skin of his throat, the catch of teeth a ripple through his entire body. He feels faint and fluttery again, as Remus often makes him feel. His desire comes trickling through for one thing, and one thing only, at the moment. All he wants is Remus's mouth against his own. He winds his fingers into Remus's hair to tug gently, making a quiet sound that's probably appropriately labeled as needy, but he doesn't care because it works. Remus responds instantly, lifting his head, and then it's so very easy for Sirius to have what he wants, because Remus's mouth is right there, and Remus just lets him have it with no issue whatsoever. Sirius wants to do this forever, all the time, constantly. He just wants to kiss Remus every day, and hold him and have him. He doesn't necessarily feel whole or complete, because he doubts he'll ever feel that way, no matter what. But he doesn't have to suffer that horrible feeling of missing Remus, yearning for him, wanting him and not being able to have him. There's nothing to worry about, nothing to be scared of, when he has Remus this close, because Sirius can keep him safe and make sure nothing happens to him. He loves him. Oh, he loves him so much, with every steady beat of his heart. I love you, Remus, so much, Sirius whispers, and Remus slowly peels away from him. I know you have to go, I know you do, but I want you to know that I miss you already. We never have enough time, but I'm so fucking glad that I've gotten to see you again. I'll keep that letter safe for you, I promise, and I'll see you in 6 months. Remus takes a deep breath and slowly lets it out, then starts to lift his mask, but Sirius reaches out to catch his wrist and rocks forward to duck his head, pressing a kiss to the inside of it before swiveling his head to kiss Remus again. When he pulls away, Remus is smiling at him, soft and adoring. I love you too, Remus whispers back. He leans forward to bump their foreheads gently together, sighing wistfully, then pulls back. Wait a few minutes before slipping back out to the party, and don't forget to take care of yourself. See you in 6 months, sweetheart. With that, Remus clicks his mask back on and eases right back out of the room, like he never entered it at all. And Sirius takes the few minutes he has to wait to press his hand over his mouth and squeeze his eyes shut, as a blinding sob in his chest fights to get out. He traps it there, feeling it fester, but knowing he can't give in to it, not this time. When Sirius returns to the party, he does so with dry eyes and a beaming smile, no one around him realizing that he's aching except the beautiful bastard in the mask when he finally returns, who can do nothing but watch from afar.